What's going on, guys? This is Damien from the Lookout, and I am here with Oceania Champ John. John won the Oceania Finals with U7. How are you doing, mate?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. It feels very awesome to come off a national win using the new deck. Of course, everyone's been talking about the Goku deck, and yeah, it's pretty good. So that's why I ended up taking it. And yeah, no, it just feels awesome that I was able to win the nationals in OC, and now I finally get to for the one event I've been trying that I've always wanted to play in has been Worlds, and now I finally get to play in Worlds. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty excited for it, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm exceptionally happy for you, mate. Like, guys, if you don't know, John won like the highest number of regionals in Oceania. Like, and this is just like the crown moment. I'm so happy. I can't wait to see you at Worlds. But let's start with the deck. So let me ask you first, why U7 Goku?
So it was actually a pretty difficult decision because I think a lot of people know I've been playing Green Gohan for majority of the pretty much since the deck was available. I've been playing Green Gohan. It's what all those regionals you've seen. I won 3 of them with Green Gohan, and even after the Android 16 ban, the deck felt still like insanely good. And I ended up deciding the morning of nationals what deck I was playing. And it was just kind of like it kind of felt like a coin flip on what I was playing, if it was either U7 or Gohan. And yeah, because I think both the decks are insane, but obviously less people know how to play against U7 currently because the deck has you can only physically have the deck for like 1 week now, or well, 1 week before the event. So that's why I ended up leaning towards playing this, and obviously it paid off. So yeah, I can't complain about my deck choice.
Awesome. So let's go through the deck for the viewers. Can you briefly just explain what does the leader do, actually?
Yeah, so the leader, the front and the back side of the leader, pretty much the same besides one skill, but how the U7 leader works is that the main gimmick of this deck is that anytime you combo a U7 card, it could be any color U7 card, it will always go into your Z energy, it'll never hit the drop, so obviously the deck wants you to build a lot of Z energy to generate, play your Z extra cards, and you actually cannot play Z battle cards in this deck, which is kind of fair enough, because the amount of Z energy you generate, you'd be able to be spamming some of the more expensive high-end Z cards, which is, good balancing by Bandai. That's always nice. And then the big thing is this auto here. This auto is huge. The fact that anytime you combo a yellow U7 card, it lets you draw a card. I've always really enjoyed decks that the leader draws through the combo step, because that's a way to filter your hand on both players' turns, and you will always be comboing in Dragon Ball. Like, the main gimmick of this game is comboing, so it just naturally fits that. And the awaken condition from the front side is if you have 3 or more Z energy and 2 or more regular energy, or 4 or less life, if you just flip this leader over and draw 2 cards. And then again, the awaken side is the exact same, but now we have this activate main, which this activate main is actually busted as on this leader. And you sacrifice one of your Z energy, which is fine. We're naturally generating heaps of Z energy. Then you can either tap, you just tap one of your Son Goku cards. It's including your leader. So it can be, and it's not even has to be U7, just any Son Goku. You switch it to rest mode, you get to draw a card, and then you choose one of your opponent's cards, ignore and barrier, and switch to rest mode, which is just absurd. Because yellow can't really clear active mode barrier cards, but your leader just puts them in the rest mode while drawing you a card. So that ability is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that ability is absurd. Also, like, when you consider there are some yellow cards which get rid of barrier, but often, it's like, oh, if a card is in rest mode, ignore barrier and stuff. And this guy is just like, yeah, sure, no problem. There we go. Barrier no longer an issue. Like, this.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, yeah, I'll make you one of Yellow's biggest weaknesses irrelevant, and I'll also draw you a card without interacting with your opponent. It's like, yeah, the leader's just crazy. Like, this leader's so overtuned. But yeah, it's the best yellow leader right now. You can't argue about that.
Yeah, definitely the best yellow leader at the moment. So let's go through the deck. We are starting with 4 copies of the burn card.
Yeah. So pretty much every SR they made for this deck is absolutely broken. Like, all of them have. The difficult thing about this deck is that it does so many things for 1 energy. Like, all the SRs in this deck cost 1, but this is by far the best one out of the new SRs. It's this 4-drop Goku. It's got barrier blocker, If you have 3 or more energy and 3 more Z energy, which again the deck naturally combos to awaken, you have to have 3 Z energy, so you will get to that point. You get to draw a card, right? And that's in the active battle step. So if this card gets counterplayed, you are at worst drawing a card, which is fine, right? And it's got 2 autos. The first auto is that when you play it, you just switch something to rest mode, ignoring barrier. Again, same as your leader, feels really good. And then the second auto, which when we go through the Z deck later, actually crazy. But the second auto is that when this card switched to rest mode by your leader skill, your opponent has the option to choose 1 card from their hand and add it to their life. And then you have the option to add up to 1 of your opponent's life to their Z energy. So there's a lot of things you can do with this, but pretty much you're making your opponent discard a card from your hand, kind of thing. That's the general, like, the short version of it. But the big version of the is that you burn life. Like, uninteractively, you choose a card in your opponent's life, and it just never been used in the game, which is kind of absurd. Like, there's never been a card that can do something such as this. Like, yeah, this card's crazy.
Yeah, the card is absolutely nuts. Like, this uninteractive burn was one of the most talked about aspects of the deck when it was revealed. There is an argument that like it might be a bit slow, though I don't think that you ever really look to win by burning your opponent 4 turns in a row. But yeah, the effect is just crazy. The effect, uninteractive burn, is insane. So,
yeah.
Then we're moving to 4 copies of SSG Son Goku, the legendary created.
Yes.
Yeah.
Legendary created, yeah. So yeah, the reason why I chose this card, there's 3 different kinds of this card. There's the Super Saiyan version, the blue version. They all kind of do the same thing, where if you have 3 or more Z energy, you can play it for 1 from your Z energy. But the big difference is that this Goku is just straight up removal. Like, it just kills a card on play, which is just really nice. Like, 1 energy removal on demand, because it's always in your Z energy. Because this is, you want to combo it off to build the Z energy. It's very nice, and it also acts as a mini deadly defender. So your opponent can't ignore this, even though it's a 15k. Like, they have to actually go out of the way to clear it, whether it's through a battle card, swing, a leader swing, or whatever. Right? They have to actively clear this card off the board, and at worst, it's just a 15k body, which is, you can't complain.
Awesome. Yeah. The card's really good. Like, it messes up your opponent's sequencing and stuff. They need to waste stuff to get rid of it. And now we have like the draws. Yeah, so starting with like Gohan, like we know what Gohan does. It's you combo it, you draw. So
yeah, so in the deck there's 4 different cards. It's the Gohan 18, Piccolo, and the 17. They all have they all do their own thing, right? They all have like their own unique effect, but they all have the secondary effect, which is the heart and soul of the deck, where it says when this card is added to your Z energy, if you have a U7 card in your combo area, you get to draw a card, and it's limit 1 on each of the cards. So this is kind of like how the deck functions. You combo 1 of those cards plus any other U7 card, and you don't resolve them all at once. How the ruling is, whatever card... There's like 2 stages to the leader's permanent of putting cards into your Z energy. There's the one that you manually choose, and then the cards that automatically go in. So besides another card in the deck, all these skills don't resolve if it's the automatic charge to draw a card. But if you manually, let's just say now I combo this Gohan plus the God Goku, right? I'll be like, all right, I'm going to Z charge this Gohan, and his auto will proc because it sees Goku still in the combo area, and that lets me draw a card. And then on top of that as well, my leader's already drawn me a card because I comboed the Goku, right? So my hand size is staying the same while I'm constantly building Z energy because we're comboing off all these cards. And yeah, it's just the hardest to solve the deck. On stream, if anyone watched my final game, everyone would have noticed that in all 3 games against Ritzy in the final, I only had like maybe maximum like 5 cards left in deck at the end of every game, and in the final game I only had 1. So it's like this deck draw is just so much.
Oh yeah, 1 that's tight, man.
Yeah.
And then like we have, speaking of the ones that draw, we have Android 18.
Yeah, 18 has the same draw. 18 is actually arguably the best one of the 3. 18 has the ability where you can remove it from the game from your Z energy, then you discard a card from your hand, and then you get the combo with 2 U7 cards from your drop area with the skills negated, 5Ks from the drop. So it turns any card into your hand into a free 10k combo that also generates you 2 Z energy. And it's also cool. The really cool thing about this is that you can use this to defend your Unison, because normally if your opponent attacks a Unison, you can't defensively combo. But they declare their attack and you activate your 18 skill, because the cards are automatically placed in the combo area. You're not comboing, you're just resolving your skill, right? So it actually allows you to save markers from your Unison, plus pocketing your leader ability to draw a card. So yeah, this card, I'd argue 18 is the best one in late game, I guess. Obviously, you want to see your cantrips on like turn 1 and turn 2, but late game, this card is so clutch.
Yeah, the card is really, really good. Like, I also like it more than the other ones. Now we're taking a bit of a break from the other ones to go into the SR. The big scary...
The SR.
Yes. The most overtuned thing that I have seen in a long while, especially now that Charismatic is gone. Like, really one of the most overtuned thing that I have seen. So yeah, the 4 copies of the other SR.
This Goku here is arguably look, the 4 and the 6 drop, like the 4 drop Goku and this card, are both insanely broken. But I would say if there's any card in the game that will win you a game on its own, no matter what, it's 1,000,000,000% this card. This card is just crazy. If people don't know what it does, it has deflect, which is fine, whatever. It's its only keyword, who cares? It's got the ability to burn your opponent for every 5Z energy, but you have to pay 1 for that, so most likely you're not using that skill, right? But the big thing is that when you play it for 1 energy, you get to firstly kill a card ignoring barrier in rest mode, right? Which, again, yellow can't clear barrier cards. This card does it for 1. That's dumb. And the second thing is that on the turn this card is played, it gets this ability where for you can sacrifice 3Z energy and switch this card to rest mode. Back to active mode, sorry. So this card, in theory, can swing an indefinite amount of times in a single turn if your opponent's not floodgating you. Like, obviously, if anyone watched the finals, this card won me the finals against Rob. I think it swung like it was my last card second last card in hand, and it swung 6 times on my final turn, like 5 or 6 times, and it won me the game. Like, that's just crazy that one card can do that. Like, this is by far the best card in the deck, I think. What all the deck, a lot of the SRs are broken, but this is like once you play this deck, this and the 4 drop are the reason to. Like, if you're ever losing, you can just be like, all right, I'm playing my Goku and hoping for the best, and you can just win. The card's dumb. This card's so good.
Yeah, the card is absolutely insane. You're like, okay, first, your opponent can never tap out. They need to be ready with a floodgate, specifically a floodgate. And like you said, at any point, you can just say like, well, it's 1 energy for me to risk going for game. So like, yeah, okay, sure. 1 energy. Do I win now? And like, if you don't win, if they floodgate you, you're just like, yeah, okay, I just spent like 1 energy. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing about this card is that normally a lot of people are talking about when the Z deck was like created, right? That it enabled your opponent to have like the clap back turn, like you do your all in, they live, like damn, okay, your opponent can. Normally you'd be like both players have their cards in hand, but then it's like, oh, you play a card from your Z deck, right? That doesn't matter if you survive whatever your opponent does, so massive aggro turn, and this is the only card in your hand, it doesn't even matter. Like, you will have so much Z energy. I've had games in practice where I've used this card's auto ability to burn 4 life, just because I survived my opponent's crazy turn. I'm like, hey, Goku's here. I'm Goku, and then they're just like, yeah, just swing in for kill 1 battle card and burn them for life, and then it's a bit rough when you burn them for life. It's just there. This card's so overtuned. This card's cool as the artwork on this card's cool as it's literally just it's a crazy card.
Yeah, the card is really absurd. So then we have 4 copies of Piccolo. It's like Gohan. It's just a tutor, like top 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Top 5. Yeah, for pretty much the only U7 card this doesn't search is our 6 drop and the super combo. So I think that's fine. Like it's necessary. You play for the second order, not the first one.
Yeah. It's usually, from what we have seen, 90% of the time U7 just opens with this one, and then they just combo search and then just combo it away later. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's your one drop. Then the last one who draws is Android 17, the counterplay.
Yeah, I argue 17's the worst of all the other cards. There was actually a point where I was only running 3 of this card, but Ultimately, the main reason to run this as a 4 of is, again, the second auto skill. You just want to have a yellow U7 card in your hand to combo off your leader to draw. And then you also want the U7 card that enables you to draw even more cards, right? It allows you to get deeper into your deck. So that's why we're playing the 4 of. The counterplay is still relevant. There are times where the counterplay is actually like very important. It's very important the mirror hits some key cards, but like, yeah, it's the worst of all the draw cards, but it's still a necessary piece in the deck, and it can win you games on situationally.
Yeah. So those were the draw cards. Then
Yep.
we have the other. Yes, this deck runs 3 SRs. Then we have 4 copies of the Vegeta SR.
Yeah, a lot of people notice. Yes, I'm literally just playing 4 of all the good U7 cards. That's like, yeah, the deck kind of built itself because you need to run primarily U7 cards to proc your leader ability. And Bandai was nice enough to give us 3 broken SRs. This one is just, yeah, this Vegeta is crazy. It's got 2 ability. It's got dual attack, which is huge because if you have 3 energy and 3 Z energy, you can play it for 1. So it's a 1 energy dual attacker. That's very nice. And the order is that when it attacks or when it is placed into a Z energy and you have 3 Z energy, you can just switch one of your opponent's cards to rest mode, battle cards, or unison, right? So Power of the Super Saiyan, right, is one of the best yellow cards ever made in the game. If you had an energy up, you can tap something for free and draw a card. The only difference between this card and Power of the Super Saiyan is that this won't always draw you a card, but combined with your leader, it is actually just Power of the Super Saiyan, right? There's been so many times where my opponent will just swing just the cheeky 15 in the lead just to filter. I'll be like, alright, combo my Vegeta, draw a card, charge it, tap something. Like, okay, stop 2 attacks for the price of 1, and my hand is the same size. And on top of that as well, just 1 energy dual attack is kind of nice. There's not actually that many cards in the game that are 1 energy dual attackers, and this is the 20k is a great number, especially for a 1-drop. So yeah, this card's just solid.
Yeah, like 1 energy, like you said, dual attacker, but the point that like it's 20k in a meta where we have like 20k baseline Z leaders is awesome. It's just like, yeah, sure, dual attack 20k, combo out of it. It's crazy. It's really an absurd card.
Yeah, all the SRs in this deck are just really good.
Yeah. And then we have, of course, 3 copies of counter, of course.
Yeah, like, if, again, you look at the top row of cards, our 3 SRs, they all cost 1 energy, and look, all the SRs have answers to them. It is kind of like why it's balanced, right? There is ways you can stop each of them hitting the board, right? So this is where Cooler comes in. Like, later on in the game, right, you'll get past your 5 energy threshold, right? So you'll be able to play one of your threats backed behind a Cooler counter. You don't always have to save Cooler for like floodgates and that. You can use it on like your opponent plays a Zamasu. Oh, okay, I'll Cooler it so it doesn't resolve and I get to play my card. Oh, my opponent played Charismatic Villain to kill my 6-drop. I just Cooler counter it. Like, this card just like behind all your other cards is just crazy. Just allowing them to hit the board is huge. That's why I run it as a 3 of. I was running it as a 2. But, like, you just want to see it. Like, Cooler's a card that will close out the game for you 99% of the time. It's one of the best cards in yellow. And I'm personally surprised it is still not limited or banned, to be completely honest. But, you know, I'm not complaining.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we've been calling for this card to get limited. Or I think everyone is shocked that this thing is still around. But,
yeah, I will say without Cooler, yellow would actually never be able to close out a game, so I understand why Bandai hasn't like hit it at all.
True. Yeah. Then what's this? 2 copies of time. Then we're going into some negates. 2 copies of time magic. It's
time magic. It's like,
yeah.
Honestly, there's a possibility I change this to 3. Like, I'm running 3 Nimbuses. We'll get to later. I'm possibly gonna switch it around. Time magic stops my 6-drop. that's enough reason to want to run it at 3. So I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I was talking about this with Peter Dance, who was also playing this deck, and he's like, yeah, you know, funny thing is, this deck's best counter is yellow. Like, that's it. Like, yellow is so strong, it only counters itself, because you have time magic. It helps a lot. Yeah, so for super combos, you're running 4 copies of Backbone of U7 Goku.
Yeah, so the reason for this is that the two main reasons is the first one is that it's a super combo I can use at 5 life, and our leader goes down to 6. So that's already like, you can get your super combos live earlier in the game. There's a lot of games where I'll just go to 5 life and sit there. And the other huge thing, which is this is the main reason, and this is also why I think if you're not running this super combo, your choice is wrong. So to be blunt, but as I briefly mentioned it before, the leader permanent skill doesn't the put the card into the Z energy doesn't check what color your U7 card is. No matter, you can combo blue, yellow, green, right? At the end of the combo step, if as long as your card says it is a U7 card, it will always go into your Z energy. And Z energy is what you always just want to be generating Z energy in this deck, so all your plays can be live. Like all the SRs are tied to you having a certain amount of Z energy. And you're constantly playing your Z extra cards, using your leader to draw a card, right? So you always want that extra ability to have Z energy. And the other reason that this is absurd is that all the combo pieces, right? That say if you like the Gohan, the 18, the Piccolo, the 17, right? That they don't actually check what color the U7 card is in your combo area to draw. They only check if it is a U7 card again. So let's just say now we're having a game, right? You swing in my leader for 25,000 power, right? Like 25k double strike, right? And I'm sitting here on 5 life. All right, cool. I'm gonna combo my super combo. I'll draw a card. I'll combo my Gohan. I'll draw a card because it's the first combo for my leader. And then I've got an out of attack on 30k. And then afterwards, I'll use Z charge my Gohan. I get to draw another card from the Gohan order, and then the Goku will also go into the Z energy. So you've actually attacked me for a 25k swing, and I have drawn a card and gotten out of your attack. That is why you run this super combo of choice. It's just so dumb that synergy it has with the deck.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy. Well, we can see limited to 1. What else can it be? It's the duo. Thank God this thing was limited to 1 for this deck. Yeah.
Yeah, this deck every time I see Door, I use like it's so good. The fact that outs Gogeta Secret on its own is huge. The fact that it is a Goku card, which is relevant for some cards in our Z deck, is huge, right? Like it's just if this card wasn't limited to 1, this card would potentially be a 4 of. It's so powerful. 1 energy, 20k, double strike, right? And plus with how our leader, we're inherently comboing cards, so chances are we'll swing with this card and make it a 30k double strike, right? It's just like, yeah, this card's crazy in this deck.
Then we have 4 copies. Yes, 4 copies of the starter deck Majin Vegeta.
Now, this is the best non-U7 card in the deck. Like, this card slots into this deck perfectly. So, it has a active main. If your leader is a Goku, Vegeta, or Babidi, right, you can play this, and you have 2 energy, you get to play it and draw a card. It has Servant, so it's only attacking once. Majority of the time, I have no other ways to restand it. But it means it's a 25k body, and then it has auto. When it attacks, you get to kill one of your opponent's cards 5 or less, which is very good removal in the early game. And then on top of that as well, if you have 3 or more energy and a Son Goku either in play in your Z energy, which we will most likely have because we're comboing and playing Goku's majority of the time, this card will also gain double strike. So a lot of the times, I will play this on turn 3 and swing and make it 35k double strike into my opponent's lead. That's a big number, and that is a lot of damage on turn 3, especially if you're going first. This card does so much work. Like, it's just crazy how much damage this card pressures. Like we were talking about before with the burn. It's like, okay, burning alone isn't that bad. Like, yeah, sure, okay, I can later game I can burn you, whatever, right? It's the fact I'm also beating you up, right? Like, I'm burning you and I'm swinging at you for like 35k double strike for free, pretty much. It's like, oh, well, damn, okay, well, it's kind of bad. It's kind of nasty, you know. So yeah, this card's crazy. Yeah. And it draws you a card as well, by the way. It draws something and kills something. On top of all that, I'm like, okay, sure, I'm down. It's a good card.
Yeah, that's the thing that really makes U7 broken. Like, it's not, you put it perfectly. It's not that like, oh, it's the burn, it's like the boss must. No, it's all of this tech together.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Yeah, I will say, I know there is the Vegeta TP that a lot of people will most likely be running in the deck. The reason why I'm not running it in my deck, the new one, is just simply due to the fact they weren't legal for this event because, like I said before, the set dropped the week before. For like majority of players to get the promo, myself included, is like kind of impossible unless you know do something, you know, some dodgy business. But yeah, that's why that card's also not in my deck. I'll make room for it, I think, because that TP is just a 30k body that clears your opponent's board for some reason.
Yeah, well, you know, it's yellow. It has to do everything. So, then we have, well, speaking of perfectly balanced and fair yellow cards, we have 2 copies of Sin.
So Sin.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sin promo. This promo kind of put yellow back on the map at the start of the year because this card single-handedly beats red. I will say, out of every card in my deck, I would say this is probably the most underperforming card, which is like what I'm very surprised about because I originally had this as 3 in my list, but the biggest drawback about this card specifically in this deck is that it costs 2 energy, right? The only thing that I want to be using that costs more than 2 energy is Cooler because it will win you the game. Like it's hard to justify like, oh, should I leave an energy up for Sin or should I play my 4-drop Goku that burns my opponent alive and my margin Vegeta that's killing something and dealing like 2 damage to them, right? It's like it's very hard to justify leaving 2 energy up for Sin. I will say the very cool thing about it in this deck particularly, you can consistently get Sin Shenron out turn 2, and that feels busted against red. But every other color like has a good way to clear it. So I think 2 felt fine. You can side in the 3rd one for red, but I just can't believe that I'm saying that this was like the worst card of my deck. I just can't believe I'm saying that because the card is so broken. But that just tells you how busted this deck is. If this card is like the worst card.
Yeah, exactly. This just is how absurd it is.
Yeah.
Then we're moving into some extra cards. We have a single copy of Final Flash in the deck. You feel like 1 is enough for it?
I wish I had 2. The reason why I wish I had 2 is because against Ritzy, he sniped my 1 of Final Flash both games in the top cut, and that felt pretty bad. But no, on a serious note, the reason why I wish I had 2 is because it kind of does the same thing as Sin Shenron, but costs 1 energy. Like there's a reality where I can't move Sin Shenron to the sideboard just for red, and then just run more Final Flash because it just feels really nice to. Again, back to the point I'm making before, we're swinging big numbers, but we can make it even bigger. So for one, you know, and also the ability to blank something is very relevant. Like again, hitting the 6-drop Goku that can swing infinite amount of times. That's not a dual attack or triple attack ability. That's an active main to restand it. So being able to just negate the skills for 1 feels quite nice. But yeah, I think Final Flash is usually just the 1 of. You can go 1 or 2. I think it's just personal preference.
Then we have 3 copies of Nimbus. I mean, like, I don't think we need to explain this. It's flying Nimbus. It's currently the best yellow floodgate in the game.
Yeah, 100%. The fact that this doesn't get hit by Quoits, the fact that like really the only card in the game that can stop this from resolving is Cooler counter is kind of nice. Of course, yeah, it doesn't stop Unisons, sure, whatever, but not too many decks are playing Unisons right now anyway, so it's like, yeah. It's a really powerful card. This card just is another card that lets you just single-handedly beat red. And just being able to say that your opponent's turn is over, especially if they missequence their turn, just feels nice.
And for the last 3 cards, we have... Alright, so let's talk about this. Bursting Rage.
Yeah, Bursting Rage.
The card that got errated like... No, sorry, explained like the day before the event. So... how come you chose Bursting Rage? And also, what were your other SCRs in consideration for the deck?
So I had a handful of SCRs. Some were more meme than others, but I think the main 3 SCRs I kind of ended up leaning towards was 1 was Bursting Rage, 2 was the Victory Strike that was intended for the deck, and the 3rd one was Gohan Piccolo Secret Rare. And obviously, I made the point before where you want to be running 4 U7 super combos, so that instantly ruled out Gohan Piccolo. So the real 2 contenders were the Victory Strike Secret Rare and this. And the more I played the deck, the more I realized I never have 10Z energy for the Victory Strike. I was never playing it, and majority of the time it was a dead card in my hand. I've had games where I was just like, when I was testing this deck, I was just charging my Secret Rare. It just felt really bad, the Victory Strike one. But Bursting Rage. So there is no intended Z leader for this deck. However, Spirit Bomb players will know that the Goku is just a Goku card, and how Bursting Rage works is that it bypasses the Z awaken condition, right? So you just get as long as the card I'm playing is a Goku card, it can go on top of this leader. And the win con for the Spirit Bomb deck is to get 7 cards under your Spirit Bomb, swing into your opponent's lead, and then activate Spirit Bomb, get 7 cards in the combo area, and be like, hey, your super combos are turned off, right? So the U7 deck inherently likes the combo cards naturally. Like, I am majority of the time per combo step comboing 2 cards to cycle majority of the time, right? That's already 2 out of 5, right? 2 out of 7. So we're pretty much there. And we already have a big hand. So the win condition of cooler counter plus bursting rage into comboing 7 cards and telling my opponent, hey, good luck. It's kind of crazy. Like, we're burning them a lot. We're applying a lot of pressure. Like, yeah, if you see bursting rage, it's an insane win con. And at worst, it is a 20k draw a card combo. Now, obviously, the errata or the clarification on the floodgate effect really felt kind of bad for other decks. But the thing is that if you're using the bursting rage defensively, you're probably losing the game anyway. It's more as an uninteractable win con is kind of how it goes.
Yeah, I can say that, like, in Europe, like, at this point, when the video is out, we might already have deck lists for Europe uploaded. But from what I have seen, yeah, it was regardless of the change of how it works, it was also DSCR to use in U7 decks. Like, just because of the Spirit Bomb Z leader interaction with it, where you can just flat out win the game out of nowhere. Then the last 2 cards, 1 copy of Secret ID and 2 copies of Mutaito.
Yeah, so the 2 Mutaito, I in my deck list, I always try to mainboard sideboard cards, because that means when I'm siding out in cards in and out, I have instantly, okay, I'll take this out, right? And it also lets me save some deck space. So this is just like what I main tool of it. It was when I was testing it, I was just 2 different U7 cards. At the time, I think it was the Roshi Negate, which kind of just felt whatever. So I'm sacrificing some like main board option, like some main board goodies for easy sideboard access. And sometimes, obviously, majority of the year it doesn't matter, because majority of games we're playing are best of 1 pre-side, so that doesn't actually matter. But when there's best of 3, it actually matters heaps. Just the fact that I have 2 of this in my main for certain matchups is just huge for top cut. So that's why Mutaito's there. And the 1 secret ID. Shout out to my teammate Benny. He kind of suggested that the deck was missing an Overrealm, and he's kind of right. The reason why I wasn't running an Overrealm is because the only drawback of the 6-drop Goku is that when you play it, you're locked into playing U7 cards for the rest of the turn, which kind of sucks. You can't even play like unisons when you do that or whatever, right? But usually your turns are either you're playing the Goku as your first turn, and that is what you're dedicating your turn to, or you're doing everything before you play the Goku. So then it's like there's actually, as long as you sequence it correctly, you should always be able to Overrealm, and the deck can easily remove tall things, like the fact that I can always clear, like the Goku from the Z kills something, the 6-drop kills something, Majin Vegeta kills something, right? I don't have a problem killing 1 card at a time. I have a problem dealing with wide boards, so Secret ID just felt like the perfect Overrealm choice for the deck. And yeah, it came in clutch. It won me a few games, and it was good.
Awesome. So we're already like half hour in, so let's run through the Z deck inside. Z deck. Only a single copy of Omen of Comeback.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This card's, it reads really good. You make your leader a 20k, that reads really good. In practice, I like my other Z card options more than this. Like, this combos nicely with the 6-drop, sorry, because you can make it a 40k base, but a lot of the time, like again, how I was saying before, your turn is either you're dedicating your turn to playing the 6-drop Goku, or you're doing other stuff, then playing the 6-drop Goku to end your turn. So, the 1 Omen felt fine as it's pretty situational. I don't know. I liked it less and less the more I tested it, but that's a personal thing, I guess. But the 1 felt fine.
Then we have 3 copies of Omen of Victory. So the one that basically it enables you to burn your opponent with a 4-drop.
Yeah. So with the 4-drop, what this extra does has 2 effects. The first one is when you choose a card from your opponent's life and add it to the Z energy, this one lets you just do an additional one, so that turns the 4-drop into a burn. And the other effect is a final flash effect if you have 6 or more Z energy. but it doesn't ignore barrier, and you can only give the 10k pump to a Son Goku U7 card. Which honestly, like this card both of these effects felt amazing. Like the fact that some turns I'll end my turn playing this, and then it's like, okay, I'm threatening the burn for the following turn, but I'm also setting up a defense. Like if you can't push in with a battle card that doesn't have barrier, otherwise I'll just blanket skills, right? And it felt really nice. I used both the effects multiple times. Yeah, it felt great. If I wasn't running Bursting Rage, I would run a fourth copy of this because you have to have the Z leader, right? So that's why I've got only three copies, but it would be up to four if I had a different SCR.
Then I guess the one with the errata. Okay, that's you're running 2 copies of Goku's Kamehameha.
This card is broken in this deck. This card's broken in this deck. So this card has 3 effects that are all very relevant. The first effect is that on play, you pump all your Goku battle cards 5,000 power. So in magical perfect island, right? We have Overman come back on the board. We play our 6-drop. It becomes a 40k base. We play this. Now our 6-drop is a 45k base body on the board. That's pretty cool. So that's perfect timeline, right? But a lot of the time, majority of our threats are Goku, so just playing this pumps them all 5k, right? That's huge. The second ability, which is so broken and is not played enough, is that at the end of either player's turn, you can remove this card from the board and then instantly kill any battle card that has not got skills. So this synergizes with cards such as Final Flash and Sin Shenron. So if I have this on my board, right, and let's just say now I'm versing, let's use Red Jiren for example, right? We're playing against Red Jiren. They've got some of the chain out, right? If I use Final Flash or the Sin Shenron promo to blank one of the Jiren card's skills, when the turn ends, this ability to remove a skillless card procs before it gets its skills back. So you can remove anything in the game on your opponent's turn with this card. That is crazy. I think if people can see why it's broken, especially into specific matchups, cards it's served. And the last big thing about it is the active battle is that you choose one of your Goku cards and it gains 10k critical. We can make our leader 35k crit into lead. We can make our Son Goku Duo 45k double strike critical on like turn 2, right? That's cool. I like double strike crit. I've been playing since set 1s, and that was a pretty broken ability, and it still is now. It's just like, yeah, this card, I would love to run more, but there's just not enough Z-Deck slots. This card just overperformed, I think, on the weekend. I played it, I think every game I played this card.
Yeah, this card is like really, really good. In a lot of yellow decks, because there's a lot of yellow Gokus. And the last card is, well, we talked about this one already. That's the Spirit Bomb Z leader, the one.
Yeah, this is the good luck card. If you can outcombo this, that's pretty crazy. But yeah, this is this is a very big win con for the deck.
And lastly, let's just check the side deck options. So we have, first off, 2 copies of Chi-Chi for if you run into blue, basically. The ruined blue card, basically. Yeah. What then? We have 4 copies of Gohan for ruining green. So yes.
Oh, this card's good into Android 21 as well. Like I know, see, Android 21 isn't very popular, but I did verse 1, so it was kind of nice. But yeah, this is like, yeah, I ran this for Green Gohan. That's the main point of running this card.
2 copies of Vegeta Unison of Fury. So for which specific matchup are you looking at this? Like for Mehi, for example, or?
Like... I'll be real with you. My sideboard was kind of mid. I'm not gonna lie. My sideboard could have been heaps better. This is a card I can see myself changing. It's good because you never know when Vegeta's like, all right, I'm just gonna play Vegeta and win the game, right? It just beats a lot of rogue decks, so that's the main reason for playing Vegeta. Like both the skills are quite nice. Like a deck I was thinking that I might have to worry about was the set 2 Vegeta, and this just beats that deck on its own. It just a lot of the rogue decks where it's like, oh, I might lose to it. If Unison of Fury just beats it, it's like, okay, that's fine.
Then we have an additional copy of Motaito. We have 3 copies of Trunks altering the future. It has been a while since this Unison saw play, though it's starting to creep up more and more slowly, especially in this like very wide board metagame.
Yeah, this card's very nice. Like, I've always really enjoyed this card in my yellow decks, even as a one of, right? Like, it's both the effects are relevant. Like the fact at worst it's a 20k dual attacker, and that clears one thing every turn, and at best it's a massive board wipe. Both the effects feel great. One of the deck's worst matchups is Cooler Mill, so that's why I'm running 3 of this, and the next one of card is the Gohan Unison, right? So it's like my sideboard was kind of my initial draft for my sideboard. It was like, all right, I want to beat Green Gohan easily, and I also want to beat Cooler Mill easily. So my sideboard is just kind of for both those decks.
Yeah, makes sense for stopping Green Gohan and Cooler Mill. And the last one is, what the hell is this?
Alright, so I think in testing, shout out to my teammate Jun, in testing we kind of discovered that Pilaf Gang, the trio, kind of outs this deck on its own, and this is a deck card that I found out last minute from, shout out again to Max Kennedy. He told me that this is the way to kill Pilaf, and you know, it was like, oh, okay, I'll play it. I don't know, I wasn't sure about my sideboard, right? So I just jammed 2 of this in. It didn't come up at all. I'm cutting this from my sideboard. It's there's literally cards in yellow that exist already that are just 10 times better than this card, and I just was too smooth brained to think of them at the time. But now I have them in my updated deck. But it's a funny card to see that I won with it, you know. So it's cool.
Yeah, awesome. So John, before we end the video, it's time for shoutouts.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me. It's cool. Thank to do a deck profile before, and I thought, you know, this time we will for Nats, because, you know, it's kind of cool. Shout out to all my teammates that you know, play with me and help me improve. Like, yeah, I'm just very lucky that I get to constantly test and practice against pretty much all the best players in OCE majority of the time, right? So that helps me improve heaps, and I hope I help them get a bit better as well. Shout out to my missus, who lets me play cards a lot instead of, you know, spending time together sometimes. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, but hey, she was very proud of me, so I'm grateful for that. And also shout out to my team again for, we have a YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure we'll already have a video up on my deck profile, but if you want to double dip, Collectors Company Gaming is where we upload a lot of our content, all our content too. So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, awesome. So that's it, guys. Thank you, John, for joining us here on the Lookout, and good luck at Worlds. I will be there. I'll be rooting for you. So yeah,
that's it. Yeah, I wasn't the meet. I'm so keen to like meet everyone, man. It's gonna be so much fun. Actually,
it's gonna be so crazy. I can't wait either. Yeah. So yeah, guys, this has been John and his deck. This has been Damien from the Lookout, and I'll see all of you guys in the next video.